right? So what's their job? Let's talk about this for just a moment. Everybody knows that there's a pandemic and it's a national emergency. No one's arguing that. Most people, if you went to high school and took, I don't know, it used to be called government, I think, when I went to school, but the basic principles of constitutional law, I think everybody learns in high school. There is executive power in a time of emergency, and that means that the governor of our state, for example, can issue orders that would infringe on people's civil liberties. It's the right to life and property and things of that nature. So being able to operate a business and earn a living is someone's civil liberty. So in a time of emergency, the governor can issue executive orders that will infringe on these civil liberties. However, that infringement has to be reasonable and it has to be narrowly tailored. What does that mean, right? It means that these things have to be looked at on balance. On one hand, you have this escape room business, right? That's indoors. There is some risk of exposure to coronavirus, I suppose. Like, how high is that risk though, right? You've got, one employee that's somewhere on the premises. He doesn't see the patrons of the business, and they're in this room by themselves. Presumably it's a single household, so they expose each other to everything anyway. And they, they play their game and then they leave. And the room gets sanitized completely, it gets aired out for an hour, and then, the next set of people come in. That's the risk, right? On the one hand. On the other hand, you've got this business that had to lay off, again, 50 people that now don't have jobs. And, it's obviously bad for them and their families, but it's also bad for the economy overall. It's a sliver, but they're going to go on unemployment, right? And it's a trickle-down thing. They've got 7 locations, so they have 7 landlords. They can't pay these landlords now, and, who knows what other liabilities these landlords now have to forego and can't pay because they're not paying them rent. So it's like a trickle-down thing, right? And then you have the business owners themselves who feed their families through this business, and potentially the business might have to file for bankruptcy. It's not good for anybody. It's going to reflect poorly on potentially the credit of these business owners, and so on and so forth, right? And then we also have the aspect of the fact that having these escape rooms be available to families that are sitting at home and losing their minds because there's not to do, pardon my language, it's just a really nice break. It's just a nice thing that the community can do safely right now when they can't do anything. And, as we were writing the petition, I researched and went through like a plethora of articles that talk about mental health benefits of having these escape rooms and how they build logic and mental stamina, and it's good for teamwork and so on and so forth. So you see, when you do this analysis and you do the balancing and you weigh, I think that any reasonable person would agree that the harm of keeping these escape rooms closed greatly outweighs the benefit of completely eliminating the risk of getting coronavirus at their facilities, because the risk is low to begin with.